Please be seated.
Meeting is being held in conformance with the Open Public Meetings Act. Notice has been given to the newspaper, and notice of the meeting has been posted in public places. Next open public meeting of the council will be held on Monday, May 23rd, 2016, at 7:30 p.m.
Roll call.
Dr. Greenberg. Here. Mr. Green. Here. Mr. Mollis.
Here.
Mrs. Panos.
Here.
Mr. Rosencrantz.
Here.
Mrs. Sohar. Mrs. Walker. Here. 7 present.
Approval of the minutes of combined and executive sessions, April 11th, 2016. Do you have a motion?
Move it.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Panos, second by Councilman Mollis. Any discussion on this? Okay.
Dr. Greenberg.
Yes.
Mr. Green.
Yes.
Mr. Mollis.
Yes.
Mrs. Panos.
Yes.
Mr. Rosencrantz.
Yes.
Mrs. Sohar. Yes. Mrs. Walker.
Yes.
7 yes.
Bill list, Mr. Green?
Bill list for May 9th, 2016, accounts payable, $14,221,842.27.
Motion, please.
I'll move it.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Green, second by Councilwoman Panos.
Dr. Greenberg.
Yes.
Mr. Green.
Yes.
Mr. Mollis.
Yes.
Mrs. Panos.
Yes.
Mr. Rosencrantz.
Yes.
Mrs. Sohar.
Yes.
Mrs. Walker.
Yes.
7 yes.
Payroll, $839,073.40, and I'll move it.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Green, second by Councilwoman Panos.
Dr. Greenberg. Yes. Mr. Green.
Yes.
Mr. Mollis.
Yes.
Mrs. Panos.
Yes.
Mr. Rosencrantz.
Yes.
Mrs. Sohar.
Yes.
Mrs. Walker.
Yes.
7 yes.
Overtime, $23,538.82, and I'll move it.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Green, second by Councilwoman Panos. Mr. Marion, the breakdown?
Thank you, Mr. Rosencrantz. As Mr. Green indicated, the payroll for overtime for, as of April 30th, 2016, $23,538.82. Nothing stands out too much regarding the information is included in your packages. In regards to sworn or officer overtime, 259.50 man and woman hours, for a total amount of police overtime, $17,849.43. Of that, $15,910.11 is for sworn police overtime. If you subtract grants in the amount of $740.85, and earned time off, which is $1,883.90, total amount $13,185.36. We do have one patrol officer on a medical leave, and that is attributable to manpower.
Thank you, Ms. Marion.
Dr. Greenberg.
Yes.
Mr. Green.
Yes.
Mr. Mollis.
Yes.
Mrs. Panos.
Yes.
Mr. Rosencrantz.
Yes.
Mrs. Sohar. Mrs. Walker.
Yes.
7 yes.
Public hearing and ordinances for second reading, H1, release and reduction of performance guarantee Gala Communications LLC, cell tower on Madawan Road, application number 39-13Z, block 12261, lot number 11. Anybody from the public would like to be heard on this? Close the public portion. Motion? Okay. Council comment? I'm sorry.
That's okay. We have the professional, we also have a representative from Gala Communications here this evening, Mr. Rosencrantz.
Just want to make the board aware that, the council aware that we did take a look at the bonded improvements on the site, and everything has been done satisfactorily to the engineering department, subject to the applicant posting a 2-year maintenance bond, and also taking a look at any outstanding escrow fees that need to be paid to the planning and engineering departments.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Joseph O'Neill of Garofalo and O'Neill, and we've reviewed the report and we accept the engineer's recommendations concerning bonding and escrow.
It's your recommendation to release.
Yes.
Okay. Did I hear a motion? Yes, I make a motion. Okay. Oh, thank you. Any questions from the council? Mr. Green?
I just want to get a better idea of exactly where this location is on Mattawan Road.
The first one is, it's a 154-foot monopole. It is actually on the Board of Education property. The site improvement works included is the creation of a stone surface parking area, the monopole, and a fence to enclose the facility. It's sort of in the rear. Nobody sees it from Mattawan.
I just want to know exactly where. Was this the Old Bridge High School?
Behind the
or-
high school.
Behind the high
Oh,
school.
it's
Green,
High school?
it's behind the high school,
Okay,
to the
I believe
right.
it's on the southeast part
I
of
read
it.
the report, but I really didn't get a good picture of exactly where it was.
Yeah, it's
I know it's
tucked
Board of
in the
Ed
back.
property, I understand that.
Yeah.
That's fine. Okay, Ms. Flynn, thank you.
So we're moving to release with two conditions.
Yeah, the two conditions are listed in my memo as well.
Thank you.
so, yeah.
All right, it was motion by Councilman Mollis, second by Councilwoman Panos.
Dr. Greenberg? Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Mollis? Yes. Mrs. Panos? Yes. Mr. Rosencrantz?
Yes.
Mrs. Sohar? Yes. Mrs. Walker? Yes. 7 yes.
H2, release and reduction of performance guarantee Gala Communications LLC cell tower on Jake Brown Road, application number 52-09Z, block 7000, lot 4.11. Anyone from the public like to be heard on this? No one from the public? Council comments on this? Oh, close the public portion. Anyone from the council like to be heard on this? No one from the council? Mrs. Shapiro?
Almost an identical application, just on a different property. Again, engineering has reviewed the site improvements. We found them to be satisfactorily addressed. We do again say that they have to post a maintenance bond for 2 years and then also pay any outstanding escrows.
Thank you.
And once again, Gaelic does agree and says it will comply with those conditions.
Did I hear a motion?
Oh, I need a motion.
I need a motion, okay. Anyone? Moved by Councilman Green, second by Councilwoman Panos.
Dr. Greenberg? Yes. Mr. Green? Yes. Mr. Mollis? Yes. Mrs. Panos?
Yes.
Mr. Rosencrantz?
Yes.
Mrs. Sohar? Yes. Mrs. Walker? Yes. 7 yes.
Preliminary public comments to the council subject to the following conditions and restrictions. During the preliminary public portion of the meeting, any person may address the Township Council on one subject for a maximum of 5 minutes. Number 2, any such person desiring to speak during the preliminary public portion shall first sign a list maintained by the Township Clerk for such purpose. Number 3, comments during the public comment portion of the meeting shall not encompass second reading ordinances or any other matter for which the comment or public hearing is to occur at the meeting. Has anyone signed up?
Richard Sarno?
Alan, you have the discretion to say that.
All right.
Mr. Sarno? Go ahead.
My question is about the shuttle buses for the seniors, and it seems to me that they only leave from this area over here and the general area here. They don't stop at where I live in Mare Manor. Okay, it's a senior housing, right? And there's senior housing Birch Hill. There's a senior housing Rotary. I believe that those buses stop at those areas there, and they don't stop at our building. They have to take a bus to here, and then they get on that shuttle and take another bus. And if it's all full, then they can't get on the bus and they have to go back home. So it's sort of like a redundant thing. It's why people need to go other places. They want to go to Walmart, for instance, and the buses won't go there. And they have to go from this area over here. So it's a double trip, and if they can't get on the bus, then they can't get there. And I know you have 6 buses out there. I don't know where they all go. Do you know? Could you tell me where they all go? Or
Mr. Marion,
All
or
right.
do you have a routing list? Routing?
I do not have a routing list on me. I know that the buses do have scheduled trips to specific places during the course of the week. I could certainly get a schedule for Mr. Sarno and make sure he has that information. In regards to, I thought we had another bus that was going to Walmart from
Well, another comment, before the mayor was elected, they had a meeting over at Mayor Manor. and
before
they
I'm sorry,
were
Mr. Sarno,
told
before what?
What?
I'm just trying to understand the first part of your sentence.
Before Mr. Mayor was Mr. Mayor, they had a meeting, and he promised that there would be shuttle buses.
Right, I recall.
If they asked the question, if there was a Walmart built, because there's always a Walmart built somewhere. And it was asked, there is. And he said that there would be a bus, that he would get a bus to there. Now, you're elected, second term, and there's still no buses. Why?
There are shuttle buses from that location. You have to sign up for them in advance. I believe they're twice a week.
They come right to our building, the Township of Old Bridge buses.
Yes.
No, they don't. They don't go to Walmart.
Why don't we do this? Why don't we get Mr. Sarno a bus schedule, and we'll see where those routes do go, and we'll follow up with you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kevin Gill?
Can we let that lady on, or we wait till the end?
They usually.
My name's Kevin Gill. I am the Lord Jesus Christ. Do not.
Can you state your address for the record?
What?
Can you state your address for the record, please?
Can't hear you.
Can you state your address for the record?
27 Villanova Road, Madison Park.
Thank you.
Do not have sexual intercourse, do not eat meat, and give you rights to everyone. The reason for this warning is that part of our brains have extreme pain. The apparition at Garabandal, Spain, that said there will be those who obey the warning and those who don't obey the warning. Pope Benedict had left the papacy to shepherd the people that do not obey the warning. I'll talk to everybody. I'll be at Madison Park if anybody wants to talk to me. All right?
Thank you, Mr. Gill.
Okay, that's it on the speakers.
Close the public portion of the comments. Council member comments. Anyone from the council? Councilman Walker.
I just want to apologize to the lady in the audience that wanted to speak. Just so you know, when you first come, you're supposed to sign up. Usually we give a little leeway. So at the end, you can speak. It's a short meeting tonight. Okay.
Anyone else? Council comments. Dr. Greenberg.
Yes, I just want to talk about the last meeting when Mr. Spencer Carpenter came up. And first of all, I want to say that the words that were spoken before that were a little harsh and derogatory about the prior director of the Public Works. I'm not sure who it was directed to, but I know that when Spencer Carpenter came on, that Mr. Joe Murphy and John Tooley were assisting him. So they were the employees from the prior, under the prior director. And I think the employees helped to make the new director strong. And besides that, it's unfortunate when you're the head of a department and you ask for new trucks or equipment. Sometimes it's not the director of the department that falls on their shoulders. It's really the administration who doesn't give them the funds. So I'm glad that this administration took the effort to get the tools that they need to do a good job. But I never feel that disparaging words suit anyone. So I want to just correct that for the record, that it was unfortunate that it was presented that way. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Greenberg. Mrs. Sohar.
Yes, I also want to address that issue. We do have a very, very good Public Works Department, and we have gone into the future and we've done new, innovative things. However, you learn from your past. And that night, I was remiss where I should have also commented on our past. And I think that our past was just as good as our future. And I had response from that group of people. At the time, it was Mr. Donatelli that was the Public Works director, and my first year in, if it wasn't for him, he really helped me with all my snow issues, all my crazy. So I really think that we have to just, appreciate what we had, thank what we had, and be happy that the future is bringing more and new things to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Soher. Any other council comments? No other council comments. Portion is closed. Report of the Township Clerk.
Not at this time, thank you.
Report of the Township Attorney.
None, thank you.
Mr. Marion, the Administrative Report.
Thank you, Mr. Rosencrantz. The administrative report for May 9, 2016. Item number 1, on April 21st, the Township Engineer issued a notice to proceed to Vision Construction Group, Inc. for the Texas Road Resurfacing Project. The contract completion date is June 30th, 2016, which is 60 calendar days from the commencement date listed on that notice, which is May 2nd. They are scheduled to begin work, we are anticipating, on Wednesday. Item number 2, during the month of April, Mayor Henry and staff welcomed 4 new businesses to Old Bridge, including Domino's, The Learning Experience, We Fitness, and Wonder Sub. Next grand opening event was actually held on Saturday, I Love Kickboxing, which is located in the Renaissance Shopping Center. For additional information on local businesses and related opportunities, residents can contact the Mayor's Office of Economic Development, 732-721-5600, extension 7920, or email obedo@oldbridge.com. Item 3, the 2013 homestead rebate will be applied to the second quarter tax payment due in May of 2016. Revised tax bills for qualified homeowners were mailed out during the first week in April, and for additional information, residents should contact the New Jersey Division of Taxation or our Office of the Tax Collector here in Old Bridge, 732-721-5600, extension 2999. Item 4, as a reminder, May is International Building Safety Month, and the Township of Old Bridge understands and recognizes the need for safe and sustainable structures where we live, work, and play. The official International Code Council theme for 2016 is Building Codes, Driving Growth Through Innovation, Resilience, and Safety. For additional information on Building Safety Month, residents can visit the ICC website at iccsafe.org. Item 5, the Township Division of Tax Collection will now be open during the hours of 8 and 5 p.m. during the second quarter tax collection period. The tax office is going to also be open between the hours of 8 a.m. and 7 p.m. on May 10th. For additional information, residents can contact our Division of Tax Collection. Item 6, on May 14th, the Township will be providing free tree seedlings to residents of Old Bridge between 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. at the Township Department of Public Works. The seedlings are bare root and range in size from 1 to 4 feet, depending on species. The supply of free seedlings is limited and will be distributed on a first-come, first-served basis. And for additional information, residents can contact our Conservation Officer, 732-721-5600, extension 2302. Item 7 is another reminder, 2016 Summer Recreation Program brochure is now available and includes another exciting lineup of classes, programs, and events for residents of all ages. Online registration begins tomorrow, May 10th. For additional information, residents can contact our Department of Public Works and Department of Parks and Recreation or visit the Township website and sign up online. Item number 8, May 20th, the Old Bridge Senior Center, in conjunction with the Middlesex County Office on Aging and Disabled Services, will be hosting the 90s Birthday Bash in celebration of Older Americans Month. For additional information, residents can contact our Senior Center, 732-721-5600, extension 6600. Item 9, May 21st, Mayor Henry and volunteers from Carpenter School, Old Bridge Basketball, Old Bridge Cheer Diamonds, Old Bridge Cheer Rubies, Old Bridge Cheer Sparkles, and the Shiraz School will be cleaning up Birch Street, Ferry Road, Maple Street, Marlborough Road, Mimi Road, Old Amboy Road, Old Road, and Ticetown Road. For additional information, residents can contact our Clean Communities Coordinator, 732-721-5600, extension 6107. Item 10, May 24th, the Old Bridge Senior Center, in conjunction with the Municipal Alliance and Old Bridge High School, will be hosting the closing ceremony of the Intergenerational Program. This annual program pairs up senior citizens and high school students from 2 distinct generations and provides opportunities for socialization, physical activities, and the exchange of ideas and traditions. For additional information, residents can contact our Senior Center, 721-5600, extension 6600. Item 11, May 27th, Mayor Henry will be holding a Memorial Day wreath-laying ceremony at the Senior Center. The ceremony is scheduled to begin at 10:30 a.m. And for additional information, residents can contact our Mayor's Office, 732-721-5600, extension 2040. And finally, item 12, May 30th, the Township will be holding its annual Memorial Day Parade. The event will begin at 9 a.m. And for additional information, Or to sign up, residents should contact our Department of Parks and Recreation, 732-721-5600, extension 4999, or visit Township website at oldbridge.com.
Anyone from the council have any questions for Mr. Marion? No questions. Motion to accept the report from Business Administrator?
Move it.
Moved by Councilman Mollis, second by Councilwoman Panos.
Thank you.
Dr. Greenberg? Yes. Mr. Green? Yes. Mr. Mollis? Yes. Mrs. Panos?
Yes.
Mr. Rosencrantz?
Yes.
Mrs. Sohar? Yes. Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
7 yes.
Thank you.
Moving on to the consent agenda. Anybody from the public would like to be heard on any of the items on the consent agenda, items C1 through C10? No one from the public. Public is closed. Council, anyone want to have a separation? Dr. Greenberg? Anyone else? Okay, can we move the balance?
Move it.
Okay. Moved by Councilwoman Panos, second by Mr. Green.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Mollis? Mrs. Panos?
Yes.
Mr. Rosencrantz?
Yes.
Mrs. Sohar? Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
7 yes.
C2, authorizing traffic signal agreement and acknowledgement form with the New Jersey Department of Transportation for Route 9 and Old Mill Road. Mr. Green?
Yes, I know that they want to change the traffic light in some way on Route 9 and Old Mill Road. I just want to know exactly what the plan is, what's going on, what's intended.
Council Vice President, I'd like to recognize Ms. Shapiro, our town engineer.
Thank you.
Councilman Green, I actually reached out and was talking to DOT today just to get a plan. Unfortunately, they weren't able to email it to me today, but I was assured that I would get a copy of it, and I wish I had it tonight for you to distribute. They're looking to upgrade the signal in that vicinity, and then not having the details in front of me. They're going to update the signals, they're going to update the lighting, and they're going to look at the pedestrian crosswalk in that area. And when this first came up, there was a pedestrian that was hit crossing that crosswalk. And the first thing I took a look at is on Google Earth, on the imagery from the past years. You could tell that instead of going in a straight diagonal line, they then sort of went on an angle, pivot, and then go straight across the northbound lanes, sort of to direct pedestrians into that median area to provide some refuge, which is a good idea. However, they are now pushed and walking away from that intersection. So when people are traveling on, like, let's say Old Mill Road, and they're in the westerly direction turning onto Route 9 southbounds, they don't really see pedestrians in that Route 9 southbound crosswalk until they're right on. So there were things that we had suggested, looking at a dedicated left turn signal from Old Mill Road, looking at the pedestrian striping in that location, looking to see if there's adequate lighting. So those 3 items is what basically we're looking for on their plan. So I had let them know today that this was on the consent agenda. However, Stella and I have talked and said that we wouldn't forward any information to them until we co-sign on any plans that they provide the township.
Right, because I know there's a light there, so that you gave a pretty good explanation of how you want to revise the traffic pattern there.
Yes.
And lighting and maybe a left-hand signal.
Yeah, and just so you know that the forms that we would sign is an acknowledgement form, just acknowledging that they're going to do some sort of design, and then a signal agreement, which we, have done in the past. They're just updating, basically. So it's nothing to do with the specific design, just sort of paperwork in advance of their design. So we're not agreeing to anything at this point.
Nicole, did we pass a resolution in January that was a prorated capital cost, our share of construction cost?
Yes.
That was something required by NJDOT before the project could proceed, so.
So January 25th meeting, we had passed a 25% cost sharing, and that's a policy that DOT has before they even start the design process. So that, along with these two other documents, sort of completes the loop on that process. So it's really, this is like the initial onset. It's not us saying, hey, go ahead and do whatever you want. It's, hey, we're agreeing to have you do something, but we need to basically co-sign on whatever you're doing.
That cost sharing authorization, was that specifically designed for Old Mill Road or
Yes.
just in general?
Yeah.
In our
We-
capital budget.
Yeah, if you recall, we actually passed two in that same night. One was for this intersection, and one was for Route 34 and Amboy Road.
Okay, thank you.
And these upgrades, Mr. Green, are at our request. We've asked the state to come into this intersection because of the pedestrian incidents. I believe we had 3 incidents at this crossing, so we've asked the DOT to take a look at this. This is at our request, and
I
improve
think
the
there was
pedestrian
a
safety.
fatality there not too long ago.
We had a fatality, and I believe 2 pedestrians have been struck.
Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Greenberg, I saw you, did you have anything that you wanted? Oh, that was the whole thing? Okay.
I'm glad it was brought up because I wanted to separate that also because while reading it said about modifications, but it certainly did not explain the modifications, although, you know, for safety reasons, we realized they were there. And it is usually customary that we have to pay 25% to the DOT when they do a project.
Normally, what
right?
we've done in the budget is we've included that additional amount in the capital budget in the subsequent years. So we had that in there for this year in particular for that project.
Okay, thank you for that explanation.
Need a motion?
I'll move it.
Moved by Councilman Green,
Second.
second by Councilman Panos.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Mollis?
Yes.
Mrs. Panos?
Yes.
Mr. Rosencrantz?
Yes.
Mr. Sohar? Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
7 yes.
C7, authorizing of shared service agreement between Township of Old Bridge and Board of Education for township installation of tennis court backboards at the Old Bridge High School. Dr. Greenberg.
Okay, so this was actually the handball court that we were going to have at the municipal complex, and then it created too much of a nuisance for the neighbors that live in the arbors, so then we went into a shared service agreement with the Board of Ed, and now they're moving it where their tennis courts are, but it's still a handball court, it's not tennis.
It's tennis backboards.
It's going to be a little different.
Handball, 16 feet high. These are, we have 30 sections, 4 by 8. We did them for handball because in handball it has to be 16 feet high. What happened to handball people got fighting with the tennis people, so they didn't want to use them anymore. And then the tennis people were there in the morning early, and the residents complained. So we took them down. They're laying down in my Parks garage right now. I talked to the superintendent. They'd love to have them. We'll be able to do 4 courts, the 4 courts that's behind the high school, and have 8 feet by 20 feet on the walls of each court on their existing fencing. I can get a contractor to do that. The kids will use them in school for skill and technique class and physical education, and any resident that can play on the courts because they're open.
Thank you, that's what I want to know, that the residents still could use it.
That's correct. I think one of the things we wanted to do is memorialize the transaction, to make sure it was provision installation, and again, it is for the public as well as for those students.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Make a motion?
Make a motion, sir.
Moved by Councilman Mollis, second by Councilman Green.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Mollis?
Yes.
Mrs. Panos?
Yes.
Mr. Rosencrantz?
Yes.
Sohar? Yes. Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
7 yes.
C8, authorizing township participation in the Middlesex County Improvement Authority, MCIA, Sustainable New Jersey Technical Assistance for Resiliency Planning Program. Dr. Greenberg.
Yes, I was just wondering if you have arranged the individuals who will be organized to go over these meetings, assist you and give you information from different parts of the town, and whether the executive director or the utility authority was contacted about this.
All right, I guess if I can, just for the public, we did discuss this as a presentation maybe 2 meetings ago, where we had, I know Ms. Shapiro and Mr. Garrity were here. So what you're voting on tonight is authorizing the township to enter into that agreement with Sustainable Jersey via the Middlesex County Improvement Authority. So that would allow us to establish that committee. So I've not yet spoken to those participants. What we're asking tonight also, if any council people want to participate on that they let the council president know in the next week or so, and we'll be contacting and rolling out that information very shortly. So we will have representatives from the OBMUA. I believe there's a recommendation from the planning board. You think the environmental commission would be a part of that as well. So we'll take a wide swath of folks from Old Bridge to make sure that all the interests are represented.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other council questions? No questions. Motion, please.
Move it.
Moved by Councilwoman Panos. Second. Second by Councilman Green.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Mollis?
Yes.
Mrs. Panos?
Yes.
Mr. Rosencrantz?
Yes.
Mrs. Sohar? President Walker?
Yes.
7 yes.
Discussion ordinance. Acceptance of deed of dedication for Block 13003, Lot...
Got one more, C9.
Oh, I'm sorry, sorry. C9, authorizing and directing the Township's Planning Board to undertake the preliminary investigation to determine whether certain property along Pleasant Valley Road is in an area in need of redevelopment. Mr. Green.
Yeah, I need a lot of questions answered on this item. I just want to make sure that this is actually the area that I'm thinking of, bounded by Pleasant Valley Road and Englishtown Road. Is there anybody available to answer that?
Yeah, I'm going to have Ms. Shapiro. I think Mr. Mamakis is also here.
Mrs. Shapiro, Mr. Mamakis.
You gave it to me tonight, I didn't get it.
There should be maps up on your dais.
I just got it tonight, but I just want
Yes.
for the public to understand where I'm going.
Okay.
Councilman Green, I developed this map, then that should have been
Yeah, we got it
distributed
tonight.
tonight. Yep. I apologize, I should have
okay.
had it in advance. So the Old Bridge Redevelopment Agency had actually taken a look at 2 different areas within town. They brought this recommendation to us. Our township planner actually sits as the planner on the redevelopment agency, and he had recommended that they put together a resolution for the planning board then to look at these properties and really assess if are they in a need or in an area of redevelopment. So this is just tonight for the direction to the planning board to then look at these properties.
Where does this come from, though? I mean, does the planner or just come up with these ideas? Well, this property here, I think this property is a former recycling property.
No, that's in the Runyon. This is not.
The second one in the Runyon.
One, the C10 is the recycling. That's a larger redevelopment plan. C9 is the one in Englishtown Road, what you're talking about.
C9 says Pleasant Valley Road.
Correct.
Yes, Pleasant Valley Road.
C10 is Bordentown Road. I want to talk about C9, Pleasant Valley Road. Okay?
It's outlined here.
Right.
Brought to the redevelopment agency.
Yeah, by who?
By.
Was this brought by to the redevelopment agency or the township by a developer? And what?
Developer came to the redevelopment agency in order to have a project that they wanted to have done. What we did is, by looking at the area, we've expanded it out to the other residents in the area. We offered them the availability to get into the redevelopment plan as well. So they've all signed on saying that they'd be interested in being it, to enhance that area, to give them the opportunity to be able to be involved in it and comment on it and stop it if they need to.
Well, if the council approves this and it goes to the planning board, we lose control of this, right?
No,
Council?
No.
All right.
No.
Because the bottom line is, I'm not interested in supporting a developer who wants to build housing over there. And I know this property has history. I know several years ago, or a number of years ago, there was, I think it's the same individual who, without a permit or without permission, made a road from Pleasant Valley into the recycling area there. I call it recycling. I mean, I think that's what it is. It's,
You would know history. I don't know anything about
Well,
the recycling being done on that piece of property.
they were, whatever they were doing. I mean, I know it's been vacant for a long time, and I think this is all about a developer coming to town so that he he can get housing built on that piece of property. That property, which he tried to a number of years ago, without township knowledge, build a road from Pleasant Valley into the location, okay? I think I want to know a lot more about this.
I
want to know
understand your
what his,
concerns.
want to know what his development is, what he plans to do, and from my recollection, there is some kind of environmental hazard there because of dumping or whatever, that recycling. That's the truth.
It
That's
hasn't
for
been
sure.
brought up yet, and of course, when they go
Well,
through the
I'm bringing it
process-
up because I know for sure.
The project is 112 units.
112 units.
With a lacrosse stadium being built, a training center for lacrosse in that property. So it was brought to the redevelopment agency. They reviewed it. They feel that it should be designated as an area of development, but it's your prerogative to move it whatever way you like.
Well, I'm not gonna support it because first of all, I'm glad you gave me the background information on this. At least what's current. But I know a lot more about the information, and I'm not going to support going forward and supporting 112 houses, as well as what kind of arena was it?
Across a training center.
Training
for
center?
lacrosse.
Okay. I really would like to have some of the residents come here and express their opinion, because you say that they support it. I don't know that.
Understand that.
Rich, can I make it just a point to process? I think a lot of times, and just so we're all clear on what the process is different projects will come before the Old Bridge Redevelopment Agency, and they will review those and make recommendations. The process to kick off that potential discussion and getting the information out to those residents is that area in need of redevelopment. It's a very public process with a couple of different steps that are very essential, I guess, to determine whether or not a project's viable or not. So I think it should be clear to the public that a lot of people will contact the town. It goes before that agency. They review it. They make a recommendation to the council. Ultimately, you asked about control, or you don't lose anything, because council ultimately has the say as to how that properties or those properties are declared, if at all. So I think it's healthy that you bring it up, because those are the types of issues that I think anybody proposing a project to Old Bridge needs to know before it happens.
Yeah,
So just
I'd
a
like-
point to a process.
I'd like to have somebody from the redevelopment agency come in here and really, give me more details on this.
Well,
What was
from the
presented to them?
Basically, it was presented to us, and basically, looking at what they wanted to present, we then, the commissioners and the redevelopment agency, took the next step in presenting it to all of the residents that lived on Pleasant Valley Road. They were all sent letters to see if they wanted to be involved in an area of redevelopment. And they all responded back favorably, except one, I believe.
No, they all,
They all responded back favorably. At one point, there was one that wasn't, that didn't respond back. He responded back when we sent our second set of letters, and then they wanted to add some more properties in there which were owned by one owner. So it wasn't that we're going to say, okay, we're just going to do that. We included in everyone that was on Pleasant Valley Road to see if they'd like to be involved in this. To your point, from the development standpoint, I understand your point. So the step here is to bring it to the council to see if we move it forward and see where it goes.
Councilman Green, if I could just add, it's actually, the next stage would be then to have the township planner look at if these properties meet the warrant analysis to say that this would be an area in need of redevelopment. So it would be then, at that time, when he prepares his report, to even say, he could actually say, does it meet the warrant analysis, this area is not in need of redevelopment.
I'd like to see his report prior to council action. That's the way.
That would be the next step. Right, this would just give him authority to then prepare that report.
Authorize it. It's just authorizing and directing.
Well, you're on record now, okay, that this is not going forward. We have to wait until the planner gives us a report, and we still have the option of making a decision as far as yes or no. Is that right?
Absolutely.
Or does the
Absolutely.
council lose control?
No, there's
No,
no.
absolutely.
You're authorizing that next step, which is the investigation determination report back. If that's something that the council, when it comes back, says we don't support it, whether it's an area in need of redevelopment meets the criteria or not, that's your prerogative as the governing body.
And I think the main thing is, what I'm trying to bring out is the fact that the design of this property by the developers to build 112 houses as well as another sports facility. And I think everybody should know that to make a decision. So, right now, I'm going to abstain. Give the opportunity for the planner to do his report, if the council approves it, and then come back to us for a final decision, because I don't want to lose the control of it. I don't want to, say, go forward, and, and eventually the council has nothing to say, and all of a sudden, the contractor gets in there and starts building homes. Okay? That's my position, and I'm on record now.
Anyone else from the council want to be heard?
Yes.
Ms. Panos?
So this process is just saying, hey, planning board, do you think this area is meets the requirements of redevelopment? Then it goes back to the redevelopment agency?
Well, the township planner then prepares the report, and then it does go back to the redevelopment agency, but it also comes back here for your final
Right, so I would
approval.
think the second, this is step one. Step two is it goes back to the redevelopment agency. They determine whether it's going to be redeveloped as a playland, a hotel, apartments, whatever the redevelopment. This is just giving them okay to say, listen, this is an area of need,
Meet certain
and
criteria.
I know the history of this too. Believe me, I don't want homes down there, but I think it needs to be redeveloped. Rich, if you remember what was down there. So then it goes back to the redevelopment agency, and then it comes back to us for whatever the redevelopment agent determines, whether it's, like I said, it could be anything that they determine, we get final say.
Right, they will make their recommendation again to you, and then ultimately, it's the council's decision.
Right, and so if this gets turned down, we deny any area, even the investigation of redevelopment. We don't know what's going to go there. We know
Right.
what.
Well, our township planner will basically take the rules and regulations set forth in New Jersey for areas of redevelopment. He then goes through that criteria, and he'll see if it matches. I mean, if the area doesn't match, it doesn't match. He has his license on the line. He wouldn't make a determination unless it met the criteria. And he just makes that report, that judgment, strictly against New Jersey regulation. And then he just presents the facts back to the redevelopment agency.
Right,
and
and
yes,
then what
you are
they
correct.
determine, people are going to come and say, oh, it's an area in need of redevelopment. I want to do this, maybe I want to do this. There could be 5 people coming back.
It actually, too, once he submits it back to the redevelopment agency, it actually goes to DCA as well. And the Department of Community Affairs actually has a say, and they actually co-sign or not co-sign. If he determines it's an area of redevelopment, they have to co-sign on that determination. So there's checks and balances along the way.
And we get the final check.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And Mr. Green?
Yeah, I'm just not comfortable with this. When you come back, like they say you're going to come back to the council, are you going to come back with the plan from the developer to tell us exactly what they're going to do, or are you just going to say it's in need of redevelopment? Because we had a case in a prior administration where it was a township-owned property, 500 acres, I believe. There was a design to sell it and build 800 homes, and it went down in flames, thankfully. I don't want this. I hope this is not the same thing with this 112 units and so forth.
And your concerns, the applicant came to us, we're moving it forward. We felt that, the redevelopment agency felt that if this was going to be presented, we would like to have all of those other homeowners and landowners in that area involved in it as well, not to basically say, hey, this is what's going on. Have them involved in it and enhance that area, give them the opportunity to enhance that area. So as we move it forward, the process is the process. We shouldn't have any.
When you come back, I hope that you notify, or let those residents who have responded already, let them know that there's going to be a council meeting, or if there's a meeting with
Our
the
redevelopment
planning
meetings are
board or
also open to the
redevelopment.
public, where they can come
Let them
and see.
know so that they can come back here and make sure that they understand what's planned. Okay, thank you.
Township.
What he's trying to clarify too is when it's brought back here for their decision, the first decision that when it's first presented for their decision, they're going to have an opinion on whether it meets the criteria for redevelopment. But they're not going to be making a decision on which plan, or there's not going to be already a plan made or criteria made, right? Okay.
Has to meet certain criteria in order to even move forward.
I understand the certain criteria to satisfy the requirements for a redevelopment agency. By the way, I'm a licensed commissioner of the redevelopment agency, not this one, but I have a license. I just want to make sure when they come back, I'm really interested in having the developer say, this is what we're going to do. You know, not just, okay, it satisfies the redevelopment requirements, so let's move forward and have the council vote. I want to know exactly what's the plans.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes, so my question is that the way it was presented, it's an area that we feel should be earmarked for redevelopment. And so you notified the neighbors in the area, and they want to be part of that redevelopment area. But when you said there's going to be 112 units, were the residents aware of 112 units coming there?
When Mr. Rizzo had sent out the letters to the property owners in these areas, it's just, you know, we're looking to do this investigation. Would you like to be part of this redevelopment area? It's not specific. The redevelopment designation is not specific to any development or any developer. Any developer that's in town that's looking to develop in any area in town, that's a separate issue than the redevelopment area and the study itself.
Exactly, but I heard from you tonight that there's 112 units that's proposed and a lacrosse field, which is, I think lacrosse field's great, but the 112 units, I don't know anything about them. What type of units are they? Individual houses, condos, apartments? What are they? I don't know. And what's the zoning over there right now?
The zoning in this area, I believe it's EDO.
It is EDO.
EDO. I apologize. Mr. Rizzo wanted to be here tonight, but he couldn't attend, so I'm filling in for him. So I do believe it's EDO, but I can get back to you on the zoning.
Okay. So first, obviously, it's identified as a area redevelopment. It meets certain requirements. For me, you know, knowing that a proposal came forward, I just need more information about it first. And then I always appreciate public input. I don't live in the area. I went over and visited it. But I haven't had the opportunity to speak to anyone, so it's really uncomfortable for me to make a decision on something that I don't have that. But, you know, I know there's certain requirements for redevelopment, and if it meets that, and it's an area that needs to be redeveloped, that's one thing. But voting on anything else beyond that is, you know, uncomfortable for me at this point, not having the information that I need.
Right. Well, I mean, I think the vote when it comes back to council is if you guys approve that it's an area in need of redevelopment. It's not to approve any proposed development of any developer that wants to come and do anything. That your approval, once it goes through the iteration of going back to the redevelopment agency and then coming back here for your final approval, is just to say you agree with the report that Mr. Rizzo puts together, that this is an area in need of redevelopment. It does not give any developer the upper hand or anything like that. And it's not specific. Whoever's interested in these properties is a separate issue than the redevelopment study itself.
I know, but it's a little backwards for me. I'd rather have the information, knowing it, you know, that it meets a requirement first, and then to approve it instead of saying, okay, we're approving it for an area considering redevelopment. It's kind of backwards. I need all the information first, and you know, to do the report, having a report, something substantial, something tangible that I could read and understand. And I understand the process, but it's
Yeah, certainly. I'm sure Mr. Mamakis's office will bring any developer to you at the time of that redevelopment plan, once it's put together, to bring forth to the council anybody that's interested, not only just the lacrosse, but anybody else that would be interested in both areas of redevelopment.
So, also, just looking at this, I would need more information on how many acres, where the units are going to be, where the lacrosse field, because another thing that happens in town, and it's very sad, whether it's a baseball field, a soccer field, they put it in, they have lights, and then neighbors come and then complain about the lights. And so you're really, it's a redundant problem, and I want to do it right. And so that's where having something or just an idea, concept is one thing, and I think that serves better for a discussion panel, not for asking for a vote on something. So that's where I stand on it.
Totally understand the
Yeah.
concerns. We're just moving it forward in the process that it's supposed to move forward.
Right.
Dr. Greenberg, I'm sorry, Mr. Rosencrantz, I think as one of the simultaneous steps, if you recall what we've done previously, and I'll go back to our Habitat for Humanity and our Lawrence Harbor area needed redevelopment, there was a concept proposal that was presented to council prior to that process happening, where the Habitat had come forward, and we'd also done it with affordable housing and RPM. Perhaps, and I know if there's information on specific proposals that would occur in that area needed redevelopment, we can make those available to council to answer those specific questions, as opposed to just here are some areas, vote on them as an area needed redevelopment. But I think that at this point, the process as we've described it, what you're voting on this evening is to allow the planning board to start that study and report back to council. But I don't know what would preclude us from giving council, if we haven't already, any concepts or developers that have been proposing something, you should have access to that, I think.
On the recommendation of the commissioners from the redevelopment agency,
Yeah.
so it just wasn't pulled out and said, hey, let's go present this. The commissioners looked at it, they voted on it, and they voted to move it forward for discussion.
Mr. Green?
Mr. Marion just mentioned Habitat for Humanity. I know, I'm familiar with that project because there was a presentation done before the
Correct.
council.
And what they did, we had a couple of different projects as we were putting forward, and they came before with concepts. This has been a little bit different. We didn't have that here. But I think that simultaneous step, if there's information to provide council as this resolution is working its way through the process, I think it makes for a more informed council when we get up to the
Exactly right, because like I said,
Yeah.
they came before us, they made a presentation, exactly what they were going to do, number of units that was going to replace a township.
That's the parallel I'm drawing, Mr.
A township building that has deteriorated and had problems, and I understand that, but this is like asking for our approval and then really not putting forward anything.
But
for
Mr.
us
Green,
really
be
to
clear,
understand.
it's not approval, it's the undertaking of a study to determine what that area, if it met a criteria, that's what it is. But point taken.
I just want to get on record, that's all.
I hear you, Mr. Green.
All right. Mrs.
One more comment.
Councilwoman Panos.
Right.
One more comment.
This is down in my area, and I want it perfectly, I'm not encouraging 112, that's a scare type thing. But I do know the area, and it needs something. So let's open the door and say, you know what, it does need some development or redevelopment, because what's there might even be hazardous. There's been so many fires down there, from what used to be there. So, you know what, open the door. We're not getting 112 houses. We're not getting a lacrosse field. This is not determined here tonight. Dr. Greenberg, you were on the planning board. You know things come before the thing. You're not approving. Even the planning board's not going to approve it. They're just going to say, yes, it needs redevelopment, or no, it doesn't need redevelopment. Then it comes back to us and saying, okay, what kind of development do you think needs to be down here? Is it the old smokestack Mitch place that was there, right down there? Or, I said Mitch, by the way, or not. So I say, let's not close that door. Let's open the door and see what comes before us, because it's my end of town. I know that land needs something. So I'm not closing the door. I'm not saying I approve 112 homes or I approve this. That's not what I'm saying, because I'd have plenty to say if something like that comes before us. However, it needs help down there. Let's not close the door to give that area some sort of developmental help.
Thank you, Thank you, Mrs. Panos. Mr. Mollis?
Yeah, Mr. President, it's very simple. It says here on C9, authorize and directing the Township Planning Board to undertake a preliminary investigation to determine whether the property along Pleasant Valley Road is in an area in need of redevelopment. That says it all. We're not okaying anything tonight. It's just cut and dry. Can we do it or can't we? Do we want to redevelop it or don't we?
Thank you.
Alan?
Any,
I don't think this has anything to do with Mitch, Lucille. I think this is Bunyan or Banyan property. I think so.
It's down by all that nasty stuff.
any,
Yeah, it's got, definitely has environmental concerns, from what I understand. And
right, let's-
I raised the issue only because I don't just let everything go by. I wanted to find out exactly what the intent was, because I know this property has history. And I know that this is always had been a developer interested in developing the property for housing.
Rich, I had that fear too.
okay. Is there anyone else who hasn't been heard from that would like to make a comment? Mrs. Sohar?
Yes, you're mentioning environmental impact. Has there been a study done on it to see exactly what's going on there? If there is environmental issues, I think before you would even start anything, you would want to know what's there if there's problems.
Isn't that
Well-
what this is for, to investigate?
Right. When Mr. Rizzo takes a look at the properties, he looks at like the environmental constraints, any, constraints as far as water, any utilities, water, sanitary, anything like that. So he takes that within his study. But that is way before, like if anybody was to ever develop any of these sites, as part of their site plan review, they would have to do any environmental phase one analysis of the site
Yeah.
regardless.
Yeah, no, that I understand, but since it's been brought up several times by the council members that are down there representing that area, I mean, when you say environmental again, I'm just, nothing was done yet to see if there is problems.
No, because we would need council to give permission.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, wrap it up. Can I call for a motion?
Move it.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Panos, seconded by Councilman Mollis.
Dr. Greenberg?
No, I need more public input.
Mr. Green?
Abstain.
Mr. Mollis?
Yes.
Mrs. Panos?
Yes.
Mr. Rosencrantz?
Yes.
Mrs. Sohar? Mrs. Walker?
No.
3 yes, 3 no, 1 abstention.
Motion fails.
Yeah, there's nothing for first reading.
Okay, discussion on DO-1, acceptance of a deed of dedication for Block 13003, Lot Number 8, Ticetown Road, in the Township of Old Bridge. Discussion. Mrs. Shapiro, Mr. Mayor Henry?
There was an application that came in front of one of our boards that required a subdivision. As part of that subdivision, they created 3 buildable lots. One of the lots would then have this large piece of property at the rear of it. The developer had approached the township to see if we were interested in the property, and we had reached out to our Parks Department as well. There was an interest from our Boy Scouts to use the piece of property. So the developer then is basically donating this piece of property at the rear of the subdivision, which becomes 37 acres. And then the 3 lots that he has abut basically Ticetown Road. So in front of you, you have 2 different deed. One is for the dedication of that large parcel in the rear of the subdivided lots that front Ticetown Road, and that's for 37.51 acres. And then also you have a right-of-way dedication in front of Ticetown Road that basically fronts the properties, and that's for any future widening for Ticetown Road, and that's about 22,000 square feet.
Any questions?
Council, let me just build upon Nicole's statement. This was as a large piece of property, privately owned, a little over 46 acres on Ticetown Road. And the applicant came before the planning board minor subcommittee, because it is a minor subdivision. The 3 lots created were conforming with the zoning. Basically, didn't have to go before the full board. But we insisted because of the size of the property. We were concerned with the remaining property that would be left with a significant amount of uplands, approximately 15 acres of uplands to the back of these homes, and being, again, privately owned. We were concerned that maybe 3-4 years from now, that a new owner or an applicant would come back to the board again and then open up that area for development, whether it be access from Wesley Road where there's water and sewer. If property was purchased on Wesley, he would come in and gain access to these additional 15 acres that are uplands, and they would be developed. Or he would be able to gain access off Ticetown Road. And again, create a major subdivision at that time. And if we were to use, if he wasn't able to get sewer up into this area, he would have a 2-acre minimum with the 15 acres. You know, do the math. You'd have 7 or 8 homes being able to be built up in the back there. So that was a concern of the planning board, that this doesn't turn into any type of a creeping subdivision. And we were able to negotiate with the applicant, and he has agreed to donate that parcel of land, the remaining 37.5 acres, to the township. Now, normally, we don't like to just take land, but I felt this was a circumstance, an opportunity for the township to acquire a piece of land at no cost, and then use it to reward an organization that has been in this town for a long time, and that's our scouting organization. They've been approached me since I became the mayor, looking for a place where they can call home, a place where they can camp, very non-intrusive, you know, no construction of anything, but a place to where they can hold their activities here in Old Bridge. As you know, we have a record number of Eagle Scouts have come out of our community. That organization has done tremendous projects here in our town at this facility. Every Eagle Scout is required to do a project on the Board of Education. As I said, at this facility, many churches. This town has benefited tremendously from our scouts. And this is our opportunity now to give them a place where they can call home here in Old Bridge. This property adjoins the Ticetown Road Soccer Complex, so access is available. It's a good opportunity to reward the scouting organization, and it takes 15 acres of uplands, buildable land, off the development charts. So I highly recommend that the township support this initiative here. It puts an end to any further development in that area.
Sounds like we have discussion items 1 and 2 open right now.
We do both at the same time, or one?
It sounds like we're talking about them both. So the 37.5 acres, that's discussion ordinance.
And the other one, I
number
believe, is in
2.
the front. It's just a right-of-way on
Correct.
Ticetown, a small portion. Should ever the township want to improve Ticetown Road, the land would be there.
Right. And yes, so just for clarity, that part is the discussion ordinance
That's
number 1.
DO2. DO1 that we just discussed about the Boy Scout one. It's DO1.
I have to go through all that again?
Okay, and then DO2 is the right-of-way.
DO1 is the right-of-way.
DO1?
Yeah,
Okay.
DO1 is the right-of-way. And DO2 is then, we can call it the Boy
37
Scout
acres. Okay.
property.
I had it backwards. Any council comments?
Any concerns by the council? Any?
No, I just want to get a better picture.
Mr. Green?
It's 37.5 acres, of which 15 is uplands, is that what you're saying?
Approximately, Mr. Green. If you look at the picture, the wetlands, which has recently been delineated, shows approximately half of the property remaining uplands.
I think it's great. I mean, I remember, I was approached several years ago by the Boy Scouts.
Yeah, I've been looking for
a facility.
pieces all over the town for the last 4 years, and it just seems like every parcel just didn't fit the needs of the Boy Scout. This one actually is,
Sounds like a
meets the
decent piece
requirements.
of property that they can use. Now, how's the access? Did they have to go through the soccer field?
the existing access off Ticetown Road is through onto our soccer field sites that are there right now presently. And they could gain access, were you provided with the map of that property?
No.
No.
Okay. We will get you, yes. there's access through existing township property.
You're not gonna build, or not gonna build a road or access as part of the
I think that's
development?
maybe not off Wesley, not off Ticetown. I think it'll be existing access will be from the Ticetown Road soccer field. And we're talking a small road, not just to walk up to this property and do what they
That's
want to
good.
do.
I think it's a great idea. Thank you.
Dr. Greenberg?
So, in other words, access comes from Ticetown Soccer. So say like they have a camping event, they camp in the parking lot at the soccer fields, and now it remains in a natural state there. It's an environmental sensitive area, the wetlands and everything. They can't build anything on it, cabins or anything like that.
They probably have access to the wetlands for hiking or exploring, but there'd be no, I mean, there's a representative from the Scouts here, maybe he could clearly, what their
And
intentions are.
As far as bathroom facilities, would we leave the bathrooms on when they have events there so they could walk back and use them, or?
I don't know what the Boy Scouts do in the woods. I don't think they have facilities.
I don't know, but I'm just asking. Just asking. I don't know, but what I just want to know, just so it is left in a natural state, that access is not from Ticetown, not from the power lines where there's cars that go in there and park, or from Wesley Road. So it's strictly from the soccer field. Okay.
That's our intentions.
Okay, and then this developer has approval for 3 homes now on Ticetown Road.
Correct.
And he's coming back for 1 more home, is my understanding.
That would be, I believe, correct. In a number of years, he would be allowed to come back and split that one lot into one more lot. He has no plans for that now that I know of. But I think that was his, if you want to call it his ace. If we were to not accept this property, he would then be able to subdivide that third lot and create access to the uplands.
Right. So right now, can we have in the deed that they cannot access that property
If
from
we have it,
Ticetown?
he can't access it if it's
Okay.
ours.
Okay. Nor the Boy Scouts, they have to use the route through the
We would come up with an agreement with the Boy
Through the
Scouts.
soccer fields.
That's
Okay,
not-
good.
yeah.
I'm glad you had
They
that.
would make it better than it exists.
And obviously, the footage in the front for widening of Ticetown Road, that's deeded over to the town, but obviously,
There's no-
widening one portion of Ticetown Road without the others doesn't, seem very feasible.
believe that's just,
Although there's areas of improvement, as you know, on the bend by the Chevalier property where the accidents where that telephone pole comes down quarterly. And so that's a discussion that I would want, especially, with Boy Scouts traveling there at night or whatever. I think there should be more signage that it is a bend, lighting, and maybe we can even talk to the JCP&L and moving that pole. Because what happens, it's more of a rural area, and when that pole goes down, people without the electricity, it's not that they don't work diligently to get it up. A lot of times, if there's outage all over town, it's not their priority. It's based on population, and the people that live there understand that, but we need to improve that area also.
I see Nicole writing notes. We can certainly talk to JCP&L. As these houses get serviced, maybe some poles can be moved.
Okay.
Any other comments, concerns? Councilwoman Sohar?
Yes, I also want to make sure, like she said, that Wesley Road was not used as an access. That really would be difficult, to say the least. Also, we did talk about resurfacing Ticetown, that we received a grant from that other section of it. So maybe as we move on, like Mrs. Greenberg said, Dr. Greenberg said, we need some improvements over there down further as well.
Yeah, this is
And-
beyond that grant. We're
Right.
stopping at
Yeah, no,
Hidden
no,
Shore,
but then as we move forward, maybe on the other side, we can do the lighting and some of that signage, because I think it'll be necessary. Thank
Agreed.
you.
Okay, anybody else? One more question?
And I know perk tests were done for the houses that were being built. Have there been any perk tests done on the soil in that area where the wetlands? And the only reason why I ask that is, as you know, not just perk tests, soil testing, because that area back there used to be a brownfield from Marlboro, and you just always worry about leaching onto that area. So I don't know whether that was done, by the developer when he was doing his overall plan. This goes back, I know the history of it, from another developer, Hickory Woods, and then this developer purchased it. And in fact, there's some questions now because the way it was subdivided with, I don't have the lot numbers in front of me, but the lot on the most westerly portion came in front of the zoning board first because that was less than 2 acres, and they needed to have 2 acres to have the house there for septic, but it got approved, and then I don't know who's really doing all this, who's purchased, whether that person's purchased the other lots and the same person's building them. It's really a vague area, so, that's the concern when you merge these properties together. And I know there was areas that I know that a lot of trees should be left. It just goes aesthetically with the area, it leaves trees in the front also. So I hope that's all taken under consideration. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are we going to move it up for first reading? Going to move it up for first reading?
Make a motion to move it for first reading?
Can we move them?
Motion by Mr. Green, second by Mrs. Panos.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Mollis? Mrs. Panos? Mr. Rosencrantz?
Yes.
Mrs. Sohar?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
7 yes.
Thank you, council.
Okay.
No, we just moved it up, right? Yeah, we just moved it up. Yeah, move it up for first reading. They discussed it, now we're moving it up. It's first reading now, it'll be second reading next meeting.
First reading is next time?
Second.
How about the process, Mr. Green?
First reading next meeting, sorry. Yeah, okay.
All right. Public comments on any subject matter. Anyone from the public would like to be heard?
Now, did that move them both up?
Hello, Ann DeGennaro, 303 Relham Drive. I live in Madison Arms Apartments, and I was speaking with Gina and Christina from Madison Arms Apartments today in the office. Route 516 and Relham Drive, south side, it's an accident waiting to happen with cars coming in there and doing U-turns. And I'm requesting that the town look into putting a no U-turn sign there.
516 and Relham?
516 and Relham. Okay. Also, used to be called Sarewood South Plaza, what's Gateway? Okay. The Dunkin' Donuts. When you're coming out right before the Dunkin' Donuts, it's a one-way sign going south on Route 9. It's a one-way. There's a 3-stop there. There are many people that come in there the wrong way. That's another accident waiting to happen. All of my friends that we work there, we talk about it all the time, and I think I've worked there 4 or 5 years, and I've always seen cars coming in there, coming in from Route 9 south on the north side of the Dunkin' Donuts,
Right.
which is a one-way going south on Route 9. And I'm requesting to look at that so there will be signage so people know not to come in there. It's very, very,
Coming south on Route 9.
if you're going
by
south
the-
on Route 9, coming
right before the
Right, north
Dunkin'
of the
Donuts, where
Dunkin'
there's a bank there too. The Amboy Bank,
Donuts, no, north of the Dunkin' Donuts.
on Route 9 South.
Okay, there's a 3-way stop coming out of the parking lot by RWJ, and the road that crosses through, and the road that goes, okay? A lot of people, and we all talk about it all the time. Okay, okay, I just,
Okay. Mrs. Shapiro, could you take a look at that? Investigate that?
also, I'm not sure, Perrine Road in Bordentown, where does Old Bridge end and Sayreville begin?
Mrs. Shapiro?
Okay. Okay,
Right.
and where does Perrine Road come out?
Brian's right here.
So if you make a left here, that's Sayreville. both boards, yeah.
No, on Route 9.
No, no, I want Perrine Road.
Line Road is here.
Okay.
Town Avenue is here.
No, we can continue, she can.
Okay, if you want to discuss that, we could discuss that after. Is there
Well, if you
anything
don't-
additional?
well, all right, maybe I have the wrong road. I can't, that map is, I have chlorine in my eyes.
Oh, okay.
If you come down, you know where Lowe's is? And the TD Bank is there, you go down that road, it's 25 miles an hour, and you make a left.
That's
Okay?
Bournetown.
Is
Or
that
Little
Old,
Works.
okay, that, I get you. Okay, that's Old Bridge. There's a stop, okay, there's a stop sign there, 25 miles an hour. I believe it has bullet holes in it. And as a life member of the NRA, I find this very offensive, especially if you have been in this town and if you ever had to stand up and be a strong role model for children and not cry. You might know where I'm coming from.
We have the Director of Public Works here. He's writing that down. I'm sure he's going to take a look at that.
I apologize for not bringing this to your attention, but it's taken me that long to not bring this up.
If you don't bring it up, we don't know.
Very verklempt, okay? My mouth is dry. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else from the public who would like to be heard? Mr. Sarno?
All right, I've had enough traffic and all this other stuff. I have a question about the Think Old Bridge card. It was rolled out April 25th, supposed to start May 1st. I went to several different places, tried to use it. They had no idea what I was talking about. They walked around, they tried to get people, and it wasn't set up correctly. Excuse me?
There's certain businesses that participate.
Excuse me?
Did you go to the certain businesses that participate in the program?
They had no idea what was going on. They
Mr.
had called their
Lamakis?
managers, and they said, there's no card, they don't know how, it wasn't set up correctly. And also, they were supposed to come to some of the senior places and distribute them because some people don't have computers. So they were just going to do it by hand and write it out, and they didn't do that either.
Mr.
A mic for Steve.
We had a meeting at the senior center where the seniors could come in. and
Steve, you need a mic.
Steve?
Steve.
Mr. Mamakis, a mic?
There are other avenues.
Steve Mack is Economic Development, Township of Old Bridge.
Thank you.
They're still in a learning curve, getting this stuff going. We are addressing some of the concerns with the restaurants and the stores that are participating in
Yeah,
it.
but what happens now, I've spent money on it, and I don't get anything back for it. I don't have a
You s-
receipt or anything, I didn't save my receipt.
Sent money, meaning?
No, I spent money. I'm supposed to get, yeah, and they didn't have it
What
logged
we'll
in.
do is we'll take down your information and we'll get in touch with the company. On the back of the card,
Eh?
there is a number for the company that's administrating the programs.
Okay.
So we'll get in touch with them. They'll be able to address your concerns, but you can
Okay.
also, I'll give you my card after the end of this.
I have no problem with that.
No, not a problem.
I guess the answer to my question.
Terrific, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the public would like to be heard? Mr. Thompson?
Where?
Good evening.
Bob Thompson, Cliffwood Beach. I just wanted to talk about what Rich Green was talking about. I thought he brought up a great point about the use of the land and everything else, because if it's a preliminary, we're going to go ask for a preliminary look at this property, yet the numbers are thrown around with units and everything else. If we're going to come before council and just ask for a preliminary workup, then that's all we should be asking for. I don't know where the units came from, I don't know where the lacrosse arena came from, but it was kind of, I thought, disingenuous to try to, you know what the plan is, but you're only asking for a preliminary study.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public? Name and address, please.
Name is Neil Greenspan, 7 Carrassus Street in South Amboy. I just wanted to thank Mr. Carpenter for filling up 3 potholes that were on Washington Street. He got out there very quickly and took care of it. Now for the bad thing. My stepdaughter's car was broken in right in front of the house. and we live in Central Park. And it's not the first one they said that there's a stream of those going on. I guess they said the people that are with the drugs, whatever it is, they're breaking into the cars, trying to find whatever they can. One was an old camera, an old GPS, I guess, to sell it, whatever they do. I just want to know what's being done to take care of this problem that's going on.
Did you file a police report with that?
Police reports filed?
Yeah,
So
police reports filed.
Our detective bureau is aware of the situation. As you said, usually the person that is doing this is from the area. And again, we warn people not to leave anything in their cars. Don't leave any loose change. Don't leave any GPS. Don't leave phones. These people, we will eventually, they do catch the person.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public? Seeing no hands, portion is closed. Councilmember comments. Dr. Greenberg.
Yes, I have just a question. At the last meeting, there was a question about school buses picking up children by Carriage Court, and they were looking in to get that problem resolved. I was wondering if the administration knows whether there was anything done about that yet this time?
I had a resident come and we spoke in my office and we talked about it, and she was going to reach out directly to the Board of Education. The Board of Education was open to the idea of maybe bringing the bus down that emergency access road coming on the way out. That's something we'll have to, we have to talk about, have to look at. But we did see that the bus cannot turn around a little further up the road. It would have to go into Monroe pretty far in order to circumvent and then get back into Old Bridge. That's why the bus doesn't go that far. But we're open to any solutions, as again, the Board of Ed determines where this bus goes and how it gets there. But I'm sure the council and the administration would support a solution that works for everybody, as long as it's safe.
Thank you. The reason why I spoke about it last time were some of the problems, and they're difficult to foresee and think about everything when you're looking at a plan on the planning board, and I thought you felt that it was just about the sidewalks. It's not just about the sidewalks. Where happens a lot of times, you look at developments that are being built throughout the town, they're like mushrooms, and we have an ordinance actually that there should have an ingress and egress, and I think that's where the problem comes. And with that area, I think it's called Authority Road, like that access road, that perhaps at that time during the planning session, to realize that maybe the developer could have put money into making it a road that could be used for that sole purpose for the school buses, or, whatever would be needed for emergency vehicles,
Our current
things over
ordinance
there.
requires that it be an emergency. At this point, our ordinance requires emergency access only for any cul-de-sac more than units. There's a number of units that has to meet that criteria, where there has to be another way in and out, an emergency only. That's something maybe we could look at, that there has to be two ways in and out, full
Yeah, well, that's how it used to be
cul-de-sacs now turn
before.
into loops of some
Yeah,
sort.
it
Whether
had
that
to
leads
be
to
a-
additional units being built, or, I don't know. It's not,
Yeah.
it's usually, it sounds simple, but it's not.
No, it's not simple, and usually that's why there was an ordinance at the time when I served for it, to have dual
It
access
would be
in
helpful,
and out.
would that like the Board of Ed review and bring us to our attention that a bus isn't going to be able to pick students up at this location. So,
Sure.
and that might influence the planning
You get a review
board.
from the fire things like that, so maybe that would be good to do. I thank you for the update.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Panos?
Yeah, I am actually meeting with the residents down there tomorrow. I know that, the house next to that emergency access, you'll need permission from that homeowner, I wonder, because he's concerned about having an emergency, so you're never going to please everybody in this. I know it was maybe wrong back then to develop it that way, but I don't think this is such an easy thing to make everybody happy.
No, I agree, you can't make everyone happy, that's why it's in the planning phase, and if you needed that road, then you don't build that one unit. there's things to look at, and that's why, we do rely on our professionals, but, you have to take everything into
I
consideration.
wasn't actually finished talking, but,
Okay, all right. Any other comments?
Unbelievable.
Motion to adjourn?
Move it. Second.
Moved by Councilman Green, second by Councilwoman Panos.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Green? Mr. Malas? Mrs. Panos? Mr. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Sohar? Mrs. Walker? 7 yes.